Melissa Bain-Sevier said, "The Magi were seekers, looking to a light in the sky for something beyond themselves, for answers to the dilemmas of their day, looking for light in the chaos." Mary and Joseph were seekers, looking to a light in a foreign land for safety, looking for light in the chaos. Jesus was a seeker, looking for the light of God's love and faithfulness to share with his fellow human beings, looking for light in the chaos. We're still seeking, looking to the light of the good news for our own hearts and for the well-being of the world, looking for light in the chaos. It is what all of us do during the search, on the journey, that increases or diminishes the light. We bring light whenever we make the journey easier for another, when we ease pain, relieve hunger, help to bring justice. Simply share what gifts or goodness we have. That's when we are lighting the way for someone else, and by extension, lighting it for ourselves as well. Carry the lamp of God's light with you as you work to make a difference in this world. It burns all year. She wrote that in 2019. In the past couple of years here in this country, January 6th has become associated with the day when a group stormed our Capitol building hoping to kill some of our legislators and destroy our already fragile democracy. But for hundreds of years before that, and in many places around the world, January 6th is known to be the day of Epiphany, which marks the beginning of the season of Epiphany. The word Epiphany has several meanings, some of which are manifestation, revelation, appearance, insight, enlightenment, or a shining forth. In popular culture, we think of epiphanies as the aha moment, that instance when some things make sense and all of a sudden we think of a light bulb going on in our heads. In church culture, Epiphany begins with the story of the Magi that Louise read this morning, the three astrologers who follow a star in the east to the place where a child was born. In December, when we read their story, we talked about how they were overwhelmed with joy when they saw the baby named Jesus and they fell on their knees. Diana Butler Bass says this about their experience: "The wise men awaited a sign in the sky, a star, to guide them on this journey. Revelations break in, light shines forth, and glory appears. Such things are from the realms of mystery and awe and wonder. They surprise and disrupt the normal course of existence. Epiphanies are not of our own making. But it would be a mistake to believe that we are only passive recipients of epiphanies. We need to be alert for their appearance and search out the trailings of their presence. Revelations can be missed if one isn't attentive or attuned to the possibilities of sacred surprise. The Magi, of course, were looking for a sign. They were professional spiritual seekers, but they weren't content just gazing upon the star. They didn't remain in some distant locale and admire its glory from afar. They got up and they followed it to its source. And their journey even involved dangers, as a treacherous king attempted to use them to manipulate this manifestation for his own evil purposes. They kept going. We may not create epiphanies, but we respond to them. Epiphanies grab a hold of us. We can't shake them. They actually ask something of us. The star is an invitation, a calling to do something, to act. These verses from Isaiah, traditionally read at Epiphany, underscore this. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of God has risen upon you. We arise, we shine, glory entices us, woos us into the light. We don't just observe. Epiphany embraces us and enlivens us. Well, I thought it would be fun to ask some of you about epiphanies you've had in the last year, and so I did in our e-weekly newsletter this past week, and only one person responded to my request, and it was Megan Miskevich, which is awesome. So here are some epiphanies she shared that she had in the past year. Watching television and drinking alcohol are both said to be harmless or even good for you in moderation. Is this accurate? Both are said to help one relax, yet scientifically both actually have the opposite effect. Her next epiphany. When I let go of meditation as a task on my to-do list and instead see it as a resource and habit, I do it more often and with better results. Her next one. Everything is contextual, but people often forget context. And then her last one. When evaluating your capacity for something, plan in advance for things to take longer than you think. If you have to pass up on something at the moment because you lack capacity, it's okay to feel your feelings and be disappointed for a little while. For anyone who knows Megan, that's very Megan. So thank you, Megan, for sharing your epiphanies. I appreciate Diana Butler-Bass's reminder that having epiphanies is not a passive experience. As seekers of God, as seekers of love with justice and light that dispels hatred and animosity, we don't just wait around for something to fall from the sky or hit us out of the blue. We are active seekers in this process. We are willing recipients of wisdom and insight and manifestations of what is true. We have to work at that. Keeping our hearts and our minds open, giving ourselves time to process so much information that comes at us. All of those are so important as we seek wisdom and seek discernment. We're trying to figure out as they come which ones are worth pursuing on foot, so to speak. Just like the Magi who were tempted to go back to King Herod and tell him where the Christ child had been born, we are tempted in similar ways to get completely off track. A year ago, almost to this day, I was doing a routine test on a treadmill, and I had a heart episode that was very serious. In an instant, my life changed and has not been the same since. There are 100 ways I could have understood that manifestation or epiphany. As we begin 2023, you know what my biggest epiphany has been from all of that? We need more people to join with us in our work of love and justice. And it's going to take all of us to manifest growing our impact in this work we are doing as a church. See what I mean about 100 different ways? One of the spiritual practices we engage in each year when we celebrate Epiphany Sunday and the beginning of our season of Epiphany is being guided by star words. Each of us is invited to choose or to be chosen by a word that will guide us and work in us throughout the coming year. There isn't anything magical about it, and in fact, we have to work at it. My true confession is that I completely failed with my star word in 2022. I was chosen by the word tenderness, and before the month of January ended, I completely forgot my word. I could not remember which word I had chosen. In my defense, I had chosen a number of words for other people, and I had a myriad of words on my desk, and I couldn't figure out if one of them was mine, so I gave up trying. The only way I knew tenderness was my word was that I did a search in my texts like 4 days ago, and I found that I had texted someone my word, so it came back to me. But even my forgetting can be an epiphany of sorts. And in hindsight, as I look back at what a year 2022 was, tenderness has accompanied me despite my forgetting. My cardiologist put her hand on my face, which is a very intimate thing to do when you put your hand on someone's face. She put her hand on my face several times during my 4-hour surgery last year as she checked in with me and asked how I was doing. I have never heard of a tender cardiologist. Never. And mine is. She hugged me tenderly after our most recent appointment in December. That never happens. So tenderness has been with me despite my forgetting. When I was getting our stars ready for today, I was amused with myself because of how many words I saw, and I thought, oh, I hope I don't get that word this year. If you're going to allow yourself to be chosen by a word, I want to offer this encouragement. If you don't like the word that chooses you, and you don't want to work at figuring out its meaning for you, you can turn it over and write a different word on the other side. There are no rules. You are not bound by anything. There are no secret star police. Just keep in mind that sometimes we choose or are chosen by a word that feels harsh, or it's a word that we think we already have enough of, or maybe even too much of. The word responsibility comes to mind, for example. I try to encourage us each year to be open to how a word might want to work in us or guide us over a year. Maybe it's something we need to let go of. Maybe it's something we need more of. Maybe it's something we have too much of. Maybe it's something with which we need to develop a different relationship. Maybe it's simply something that invites us deeper into our growth. Or maybe it's something we would do well to practice. I've told the story before about Marianne's word from a couple years ago, the word delight. Ever since being chosen by that word, Marianne has incorporated naming at least one delight each day into her spiritual practice. Imagine what that does for one's mental health and spiritual health. Something that simple can be transformative. The 3 astrologers, after being overwhelmed by joy, chose to not go back to King Herod. And instead, the text tells us, they went home by a different way. I have decided to give tenderness another try for 2023. I have a feeling it's not finished with me yet. Maybe our star words and our spiritual practices for this year will lead us down roads that are much less familiar and much more life-giving for all. May it be so. Amen.